This is Hidden Killers Live with Tony Brueski, Stacey Cole, and Todd Michaels.
The Ellen Greenberg documentary, if you have watched it on Hulu, good. Now it's time to be enraged. Now is time to express some concern. Let your voice be heard, because this is a case that hasn't had enough voices behind it, for whatever reason it may be. Maybe it's because it uses icky words that we can't say right now because it might upset the gods at YouTube. So we'll use the word unalive instead of, the other word that starts with an S. Just so you're aware of that. Maybe it's because it talks about someone's life being gone. Maybe it's because there's certain people involved in this case that don't want information getting out about it. That's crossed the mind of many as well, who've also been trying to report on this case for the last many of years. But the chicken's out of the hen house. And now, well, it's time to let your voice be heard. So please, if you watch that doc, and if you're just starting to watch this right now, you're going to learn a lot about the Ellen Greenberg case. And this family, her parents, and justice for Ellen, very important, because it needs public pressure, because the laws haven't worked, because the lawsuits haven't worked, because common sense that says if you stab yourself 20 times, including post-mortem stabs, well, that's not unaliving yourself. That's someone else unaliving you. And that's called murder. But that's not exactly how this is being treated. It's not being treated as a homicide. It's still listed as a unaliving. I'm waiting for this to completely change in the lexicon, and we don't even use that word anymore, where it's just like, oh, that's how we say it now, because I have a feeling we're going to get there, and it's going to be a bad word at some point, just in general. Here's the question. How does a young woman end up stabbed 20 times, including in the back of her neck, and it gets called a suicide? The central question in the case of Ellen Greenberg, a case that's been quietly festering over a decade until now, because this week Hulu dropped the documentary that puts it all out there. The raw 911 call, the bruises no one explained, the crime scene that was clean before it was even processed, and a family that spent 14 years fighting to get anyone in power to say what the evidence already screams, that it wasn't an unaliving. We're talking about Death in Apartment 603. That's the doc on Hulu. That's not just retelling the story, it's exposing how institutions bury uncomfortable truths. You're going to hear the first responders say it straight. You don't need an ambulance. You need a homicide detective. And we're going to be digging in today. We've got the timeline. We've got clips from the doc. We're going to walk you through some of the most dramatic pieces in this documentary. We've got the receipts. We're going to walk through this and walk through what this documentary revealed, and more importantly, what the public wasn't told back when it mattered most. And if you followed the case, this is going to piss you off, hopefully. If you haven't, buckle up, because once you see it, you really can't unsee it. To begin the whole thing, though, we're gonna start with a 911 call. This is the 911 call that started it all. This is a 911 call, and let me set it up for you here so you understand what we're about to walk into. This 911 call was made by Sam Goldberg. This is Ellen Greenberg's fiance. He made this 911 call after, as he claims, breaking the door down because it was locked from the inside. Got into the apartment and discovered what he discovered. And you'll hear him describe what he discovered in just a moment. Before he broke the door down, though, for about an hour, it's described that he allegedly went up and down the elevator, went to the security guard, said, "You need to get me into that unit," in more or less terms. And he said, I can't leave my post. I can't. It's part of the thing. Unless law enforcement's here, I can't leave the post. He made a big scene. Big scene. Anyone basically who would listen, it seems, was aware he was not able to get into the apartment. But when it came time to actually break into the apartment, the only one who saw it was him. No one was there watching him break down the door. Contrary to the actual police reports, which he allegedly told police officers, it ended up on the report that, well, the security was there and watched him break it down. That part never happened. And that's very important in this. Because that little factoid, the little factoid that the apartment was locked and he had to break in to get to Ellen, that little fact is what turned this thing into a big deal. Because that's what allowed police to say initially, oh, well, this is a suicide because no one else came in. There's a nor'easter going on. There's a big storm outside. Nobody else has come and gone. And she has mental health issues. Sam also told the officers that, which also led them to believe and mark that little box suicide, hampering any sort of homicide investigation, hampering any sort of investigators coming out, taking a look at the crime scene, hampering anyone from calling it a crime scene, and allowing a cleanup crew to come in the very next day and clean it up. A little crime scene cleanup crew to clean it up. No investigation, no evidence, all gone. Because, well, you convinced him it was a suicide. The door was locked after all. It's comically horrible. And it, at the end of the day, seems like a series of really bad good luck for some people. We're going to talk about all of it today. We're going to start with that 911 phone call, and then we'll begin our discussion. This is where it begins. Let's take a listen. This is Sam Goldberg calling 911.
No, I need everything now. I just walked into my apartment. My fiance's on the floor with blood everywhere.
What is the address?
4601 Flat Rock Road. Please come help now.
4601
Flat Rock Road.
Is this a house or apartment?
Oh no! Oh no!
Apartment.
It's an apartment.
What apartment number?
Please hurry,
Where
please.
is she bleeding from?
I don't know. I can't tell.
No, so you have to calm yourself down in order to get you some help.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm looking at her right now. I can't see anything. There's nothing broken. She's bleeding. Ellie.
You don't know where she's bleeding from? Can't tell where
Ellie.
the blood's coming from?
I think her head. I think she hit her head, But it's everywhere.
Okay,
it's everywhere.
Think she might have fallen? Do you know what happened?
She may have slipped. There's blood on the table. Her face is a little purple.
Okay, hold on for rescue for her. Stay on the phone.
Philadelphia Fire Department 842. What's the address? No,
4601 Flat Rock Road. Please hurry.
4601 Flat Rock.
Yes.
What's wrong?
I went downstairs to go work out. I came back up. The door was latched. My fiance's inside. She wasn't answering. So after about a half hour, I decided to break it down. I see her now, just on the floor with blood. She's not responding.
Okay, is she breathing? Look at her chest. I need you to calm down, and I need you to look at her chest. It's really.
I really don't think she is.
Listen to me. Someone's on the way. Look at her chest. Is she flat on her back?
She's on her back. So I bring her.
Look at her chest and tell me if it's going up and down, up and down.
I don't see her moving.
Okay, do you know how to do CPR?
I don't.
Okay, I can tell you what to do, okay, until they get there. I want you to keep her flat
Oh,
on her.
God.
Hello?
Yeah, hi, okay.
Are you willing to do CPR with me over the phone until they get there?
I have to, right?
Okay, so get her flat on her back, bare her chest, okay? You want to rip her shirt off. Okay? Kneel down by her side.
Oh, my God. Ellie, please.
Listen, you can't freak out, sir, because you
Okay, I'm trying not to. Her shirt won't come off. It's a zipper. Oh, my God. She stabbed herself.
Where?
She fell with a knife. Oh, no. Her knife's sticking out.
Her what?
There's a knife sticking out of her heart.
Oh, she stabbed herself?
I guess so. I don't know where she fell on it. I don't know.
Okay, well, don't touch it.
Okay, so I just let her down. Here now? I mean, what do I do?
No, I mean, you can't. If the knife is in her chest, it's going to be kind of hard for you to do CPR at this time.
Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Police, which operator?
277.
Is someone coming here?
Yes, they are. You said 4601 Flat Rock, right?
Yes.
Okay, someone's on the way. And the knife is still inside?
Wait, so what?
The knife is still inside of her?
Yes, I didn't take it out.
Was it her chest or what area did
It's in her chest. It looks like it's right in her heart.
Okay, someone's on the way out there. Okay, just get.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Okay.
How old is she?
She's She's 27.
27. And there's no sign of life at all? Like, pinch her under her arm.
No, please don't be. What?
Pinch her under her arm and tell me if she responds to pain.
Ellie. She's not. Her arm and her hands are still warm. I don't know what that means, but there's blood everywhere.
I know, but you can't, and the knife is still inside of her. How far? Can you see how far it went in?
It looks pretty deep.
Okay.
It looks it's a long knife.
Don't touch anything.
Yeah, don't touch anything, okay?
I'm not touching anything. I can't believe this, though.
So wait, it was just you there with her?
We're the only ones here.
And she ran in the door, you said latched it shut?
No, I went downstairs to work out, and when I came back up, the door was latched. Like, it was, it wasn't like it was, it was like locked from the inside, and I'm yelling, so I'm
was
yelling.
your house
and
broken into?
No.
So there's no sign of a break-in?
No sign of a break-in at all. I mean, there will be when you get here, because I had to break the latch, but to get in.
Okay, 4601 Flat Rock, and this is a house, right?
It's an apartment. Apartment.
Okay, that'll help.
Oh my god. All right, thank you. Bye.
Think anybody's renting out that apartment?
Yeah, I wondered what they're doing with that apartment. I mean, now that they named it in the Hulu documentary, you can't really rent that one out.
I think what I saw in the documentary last night, because they're going in to still like set. I think they said it's not being rented out.
It's not as of right now. I mean, when they did it, I don't know if it was just because it was not being rented at the moment, and it just happened to be dumb luck that we're doing a documentary. Can we get into a similar type unit to try to lay this out? They're like, well, actually, guess what? It's available. I don't know. I would think you almost need to change the number on that apartment if you're going to re-rent it. And you don't have to. It's a rental, so you don't have to disclose that either. Right. And if you're a property manager, I don't know. I think if you're in that building, everyone kind of knows that's the unit. It may just end up having to be storage. It's
like only murders in the building. Everybody knows it's that one.
Exactly. That's the 911 call. There's so much in that, and we can talk about that in just a moment. We're going to start taking a look at some of the clips. We're going to set up and hear from some of the eyewitnesses from that day that saw all of this happen, or how it led up to that moment. That's in just a few moments. But okay, reactions to the 911 call, and you guys give yours in the comment section wherever you're watching this. Stacey?
So, my position on this hasn't changed. I've thought this was absurd from the moment I heard it. I'm going to preface it by saying he has not been charged, innocent until proven guilty, all of those disclaimers.
Yep.
Now that I've said those.
He maintains his innocence, never been charged, and not even been a suspect. Never even, Anyway, so yes.
Correct. As a former first responder, and everybody's reaction is different, and I've voiced this before, so forgive me if you've heard this story before, and I'll keep it brief. But when I was an EMT firefighter for about 1.5 years, 2 years, and when we would go on scene and something horrific had happened, family members are frantic. I never heard the 911 calls. We would just get dispatched to the scene, and we'd know what we were coming into from the dispatch and from, the 911 operator. So what we would typically see are frantic family members. They can't communicate with you. I mean, some are a little better than others, but for the most part, they're pretty traumatized, especially something like this. I mainly have experience with cardiac events, strokes, things like that. I never did see a bloody scene. I never saw anything like that. Mm-hmm. And even from a cardiac event, people are frantic. So I can't imagine somebody having this clarity saying, oh, she fell on the knife. Whoa, wait a minute, what? How do you know that? How do you know this detail? Most people would say there's a knife in her chest. They would give you a fact as they see it, not the explanation as to how it got there, unless they watched it happen. If they witnessed an event, you'd want to talk to these people about what did you see? Mm-hmm. And they would give you that detail. Well, they were walking into the kitchen and then they passed out and hit the floor, hit the cupboard with their head. They would give you a play-by-play because that's what actually happened. Mm-hmm. I'm a little suspect about where this detail came from that he knew.
And did he know, or was it just how he expresses himself?
I don't know.
Is he just kind of a doofus in the way he talks about things? And I don't know. I mean, that's the hard thing about Sam Goldberg is we have no baseline. We don't know how he normally speaks. We don't know. And I don't know if having that certainly would be helpful. It would be, he's kind of goofy in the way he talks about them. Some people are like that, you know?
True.
So and again, we're not saying he did this. We just have a lot of questions, as this documentary brought up a lot of questions that I think need some answers, not just, it was suicide, shut up and go away. Mm-hmm. Look, if you're on the 911 call and the operator says, okay, you're going to do CPR, and your response is, I guess I have to, right?
It's a little weird.
It's beyond weird. That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Especially if you don't know at that moment in time that you can't. It seems like a response of, they're going to tell me I have to do suicide. I already know I can't do suicide because there's a knife in my fiance. So that ain't going to work. But I haven't communicated that yet. And according to them, I don't know about it yet. Oh, there's a knife in her chest. Oh, my God. She fell on a knife. Little sus. Little weird.
Yeah.
Explain it. Explain it.
One thing I noticed this time listening to it that I didn't notice last time was there was a change in the operator at some point, right? Early on, there was one operator, and then they switched him over to like another one.
I believe so. They transferred the call. Mm-hmm.
So his demeanor came across more like you would expect with that first call. Like that first part of the call, he's like, oh my God. And as soon as that second person came on the call, it was different. That's where he's like, oh, I went down to the gym and I just came up and the door was locked and blah, blah, blah. And he's going through all the steps. So the first part of the call, I'm going, okay, he actually sounds like he's kind of frantic here. Like he just walked in on a loved one who's bleeding and on the floor, but it switches really freaking fast.
Did it sound? I agree, but I also feel like it sounded like someone who's doing a high school play. You have to sound really scared and shocked at this moment in time. How would that sound?
Like when you call in sick to work, but you're not sick. So
I'm not feeling, Tony. I'm
sick now. Work sick work. I'm sick. I mean, it's just. It's like someone said, "Okay, you got to go act. Go now. Scene." What I will say to that, Todd, and I agree, is he's calm when he has to tell his narrative of what he did.
Exactly.
When it comes to Ellen and it comes to reacting, it's chaos. But when it comes to what happened here, well, it's a total change, and it's like bipolar almost. It's like, but in a more fast way. It's like oh no, that's not what happened at all. Here's what I mean. It's so jarringly different that if you are in that scene and you're legitimately shocked because you're seeing your fiance dead on the ground for the first time.
Correct. And Jennifer makes a really good point here. She said, did you notice the silence on the line on his end while the call was being transferred? I would be talking to Ellen, trying to wake her up. It was very quiet, and she's right. Jennifer nailed this. It was so quiet there. Yeah. Like, wouldn't you be like, my God, Ellie, my God, something, do something, wake up, hello. I mean, you wouldn't just be sitting there going, listening to the Walgreens, on hold music.
I'm also kind of shocked at the lot. Maybe Sam doesn't swear. Maybe Sam doesn't use explicitives. I don't know. But I'm kind of shocked at the lack of that too.
Well, you'd be hearing some F-bombs from me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like it's sanitized for YouTube. well, this call might get played back a lot, so I better make it so I don't say any bad words. I was kind of shocked at the level of sanitation that was done on this call in terms of language. But again, we don't have a baseline on Sam, so we don't know how he normally speaks. He may be someone who that's just not part of his vernacular.
Gosh darn. She's
there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of possibilities, but damn, this thing looks bad. This thing looks so suspect and weird and bad. And what makes it worse is there wasn't the investigation. There wasn't the questioning. There's no it's just, he did make a statement to CNN, and I'll find it here in a little bit, a couple years ago. But essentially, it's just mental health problems are real. Please, be aware. I mean, because that's the narrative. The narrative the whole time was the door was locked and she has mental health problems. That's what allowed the police to say, this is a suicide. Okay, everybody can go home now. Oh, you want to hire cleaners the next day or two and come clean up the scene professionally? Go for it. We don't need the scene. It's not a crime scene at all. That's what allowed all of those wheels to go into motion in this. It was several days later where they said homicide. And oh, wait, well, now that it's homicide, you can't go back and do anything with the scene. It's gone. The body's literally being buried the day they decide it's a homicide. And then a few days after that, no, we were wrong. Our bad, it's a suicide. Why the change? What was the change all about? We're going to get into all of that here in just a few moments. We're going to watch the next clip in a second. Again, I got to say, Sam Goldberg, Ellen Greenberg's fiance at the time of her death, has never been charged with any crime in connection to this case, okay? He has consistently maintained that Ellen's death was a suicide. All individuals mentioned in this segment are presumed innocent unless proven otherwise. This is us riffing. This is having a conversation. You can make your own choices and your own decisions on what the hell's going on here. And we're not saying he did it. We're just saying there's a lot of questions that need answering. Okay, let's go watch our first clip from the doc. This is the documentary that's on Hulu right now. Please do check it out. This is kind of setting up what led into that 911 call.
This, in combination with going up and down the elevators to the lobby, goes on for about an hour before he finally makes entry into the apartment and makes the 911 call. Ellen was found up against the cabinetry in the corner, slunched down, blood all over her body. On the cabinetry, where clearly her head had slid down the cabinet, and there is a knife sticking out of her chest. At around 6:40 p.m., the police, fire and rescue are there, and detectives are there because this looks like, at least from the call, to be a homicide. So homicide detectives come out as well as police.
The next time I go to the door, I could hear Sam talking to the police officer about her medication and that she had some mental health issues.
After Sam spoke with the detectives, they believed that Ellen was experiencing mental health issues. So instead of investigating this, they call it a suicide on scene.
I was told that she had stabbed herself. The gurney came out and it was empty, and Sam was told that she had passed and that she was dead. And he started crying, and I just asked what I could do.
There's a lot of people in this that do attest to Sam being very upset, very animated at this moment in time. I want to say that he wasn't sitting there in the corner like, want to go get some Arby's? He was very it seems in the moment, at least according to those who were around him at that moment in time. And also at the funeral, apparently very animated, which, if you're grieving the death of your fiance that you were planning on spending the rest of your life with, everybody expresses it differently. Some are more vocal than others. We'll leave that at that. But that's what led up to those moments. Two big things that were revealed right there. He convinced the first responders this was a suicide, and they didn't ask questions.
How can even if you walk in and it looks 100% like this person took their own life, first responders aren't allowed to make that assumption, are they?
No.
Stacey, you lived that life. Did you ever walk in and somebody say, well, what do you think, Stacey? What happened here?
No, you treat the symptoms. You let the medical examiner, or when you transport, you let them decide what the diagnosis is. We don't diagnose. We cannot. It's out of our scope of practice. You treat what you see, and what you see is somebody who's not breathing. You do CPR, you administer oxygen, you put in an IV, you do all the things. It's not for you to decide any of this.
Well,
Period.
the officers did. and that's where it ended, right there. So I want to say that because watching this documentary, I think really put this case. And I've been on this for a couple years now.
Well, you were in the documentary. I mean, I saw your face last night. I saw your face in it.
Please tell me we're going to play that.
I don't think it's in any of the clips. Yeah, I'm in the doc too. I didn't even realize I was making pasta sauce the other night, and all of a sudden I hear my voice. I'm like, did it switch over to one of our shows? I'm like, oh, I'm in the doc.
Dude, self-promote. Did you not learn anything in the years of radio? You self-promote.
I guess I did. What do you mean? I mean, I'm in the doc. I don't know. I mean, we're talking about it right now, so I think we are self-promoting.
All right, whatever.
So I've been talking about this case for damn near 3 years, and I've been shocked at the lack of traction this case gets, just because it has so many ingredients of just outrageousness, of insane behavior, of asking people to suspend belief of reality. But what I was saying is, I feel like this doc really lined out it and it's interesting with storytelling how it can do it. With one person telling the story this way, one telling it that way, same information, you can see it in different perspectives. And what I'm seeing here are two different paths, because we seem to want to connect this into a conspiracy that maybe the police or Philadelphia, somewhere higher up, there's a connection there that got this thing suppressed. And I'm not saying that that's not a possibility, but at least initially, I don't think it was. I'm thinking maybe further down the line, there may have been, some hey, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. But initially, I don't. Here's my 2 cents on it. And if this happened this way, here's how it's making sense to me. It's a big if. I'm going to guess there was some sort of accident. I'm going to guess accident or moment of heated arguing that somebody did something stupid. And I don't know. I don't think Sam, if he has anything to do with this, set out and said, I'm going to go kill my fiance today. I don't think that happened. Could there have been some sort of struggle? Could she have started to try and hurt herself? Did he get involved? Did something happened? What exactly that is, I don't know. I don't know that it was a vicious, I'm going to go in here and stab you. But that's ended up being what happened. So either it was some accident happened, something was about to blow, and it did. And she ended up dead. Now, what that is, I don't know, because there were strangulation marks on her body.
I have a different theory, but I'll let you finish.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, did someone strangle her first? Oh, shit. Well, you can't strangle yourself to death. That's not suicide. We don't have a gun. She stabbed herself. And then you set it up to look like this stabbing scene. I don't know. It's bizarre. Something occurred, and he had to do damage control. Again, this is my theory. I have no idea if it's fact. He's innocent until proven guilty. I'm running down this scene. Damage control is what is needed. What am I going to do? Goes to the gym. Comes back. Can't get in the apartment. Again, no one is witness to this door ever being locked out other than him. So we have to take his word that that's what it is. Causes a scene, goes up and down the elevator, lets everybody know, oh my God, like I can't get in, there's something going on. You're going to get sympathy and empathy. Like what? Oh, there's a problem going on here. He can't get in, and it's locked from the inside. So he's clearly not the one in there. That's set up. Gets up there. I don't know that he ever broke the door damn open. I could see, I got to make it look like I broke the door open. So you get inside, you latch the door, and you start jerking it till you get some traction on those screws on that lock and it busts it open a little bit. So it looks like there had been somebody that tried to break the door open from the outside. You could create that damage from the inside or the outside. That would not be difficult to do. That's not a hard task to take up. And then, first responders come.
Well,
we heard the 911 call.
Back up just a little bit because he calls his uncle first before he calls 911.
Oh yes. We got to put that in there too. Calls the uncle, calls all of these people that are going to help him in this process. So yes, you're right. That's got to be in there too, which is very weird and sus.
That does not fucking happen.
No, starts obsessively calling her to make it look of concern, and then gets in. So there's digital record. There's these people that see him frantic and scared, and gets in, and then manages, out of sheer dumb luck, to convince the authorities to walk away and believe this is a suicide, to which they did. I think that was fucking luck. I'm gonna guess if he did this, and again, never been charged, never, and so who the hell knows, whoever did this, but if he did do this, that was pure luck that set the rest of this in motion. Because this gets going and it's ruled a suicide, and they start looking into it like, wait a second, this looks more like a homicide. And then they have to reckon with the fact that they did give clearance. Sam Goldberg's family did not go in and just start cleaning this and hoping they didn't get caught. They got permission. They checked the boxes. They went through the steps you're supposed to go through before these sort of things happen. Because at some point you do have to have it cleaned up, because police don't do that. That's on you. That's on you and your crime scene of your loved one, unfortunately. That's how that works. So my guess is, okay, well, they got permission. You're going to jump at that. The police said, we can clean it. Clean it. So immediately, crime scene cleanup, literally what it's called, shows up, cleans the place up. And then they also get permission. Can we go get some of Ellen's personal effects for her funeral? Because God knows Sam's uncle needs to go and get Ellen's digital devices for the funeral. Why? Wouldn't that be her family's to get? Not Sam's uncle by marriage, who's the high-powered attorney, to go and get her digital devices out of the scene where it appears this woman came back from the dead and murdered herself? That just seems a little odd, too. So what the hell is the story there? Now, this is how, when you look at it that way, you go, okay, so now you have the police that are going to have a mountain of questions to answer of why did you handle this in such a horrible way? So they're going to start backtracking. They're going to start covering their tracks. If he's covering his tracks, he's had 1,000% the best luck in the world of trying to cover up whatever the hell that was. Whether it's a murder, whether it's, was homicide, whether it's first degree, second degree, whatever the hell that was. He's getting away with it if he did it. And then the paths keep going until they start going, oh, this might be a homicide. Then Oh gosh. This is where I think you may have some intermingling of you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Right.
Because that's where you then get the ruling changed from unaliving back over to homicide. And it goes there for a moment, for a couple days, and then they have the meeting, and nobody can remember the meeting. Nobody knows who said what in the meeting. Nobody knows why they changed the ruling, and that's all in the documentary too.
Yeah.
And it's all and it goes back to unaliving herself, and then game over. You got away with it. Whoever did it got away with it. That's my personal context on it. Again, just my guess. Everyone's innocent until proven guilty. Sam's never been charged with a crime, and I'm not saying he did it. I'm saying in theory, if this is how it appears it may look.
There's another story here, and I'm sorry I've been chomping at the bit because I just as a woman I feel this, especially in my world. I think she wanted out. I think she had changed her mind. She hated her job.
Wanted out of life or the relationship?
The relationship. I think she was questioning her life choices.
Yeah.
She was depressed. I'm not doubting at all that she was depressed. And those text messages, she fucking hated her job.
Which all could have led to this.
Correct. I think there was a confrontation because she said she wanted to quit her job. And I bet you money there was a discussion. Again, he's never been charged. This is just my gut talking. But I bet she came home and said, here's what I'm doing. I'm quitting this job. I can't take it anymore. He got pissed somehow. And then everything escalated. And she started talking about how this isn't what she wants for her life. She wants something different. Maybe she threw out something that she wants something different because he's traveling all the time. She struggled with that. Mm-hmm. This wasn't what she wanted for her future.
Yeah.
And he saw this as, well, there goes my reputation. My beautiful fiance is going to call things off and I'm going to look like a shit. And things start to escalate. The strangulation marks, that we've talked about strangulation. This is, I feel there's something festering under the scene here that got deleted on these devices that we never saw and we will never see.
We did see some texts, however, where she would say, I really don't want this job anymore, man. I would really like to go. And he's like, well, you're not a quitter, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you're not a quitter.
So which could be just someone trying to pep somebody up, who's going through some stuff.
Maybe, but then also don't forget that there was actual notations of bruising that was in the healing process.
Yes.
At the autopsy. And yes, she was on some medications that could have had something to do with that, but
aren't we all?
Well, yeah, exactly. And here's, so I have to say, Stacey, I think you and I are on a very similar page because even in those texts, the way he responded, if he were truly a partner who supported her, we'll get through this. Yep. Whatever you got to do, I'm going to be there for you.
I love you, babe. Let's talk this through and come up with a plan.
But I think you're right. I think there was a way that he wanted to be perceived. He wanted that relationship to be perceived, and this would not work for him.
Does not fit the narrative that he desperately wanted. And Marianne in the chat, she has talked about how this appears to be escalating domestic violence. And again, he hasn't been charged. This is our gut feeling, but there's something here that just...
I pretty much agree with you. I mean, you guys basically said what I said, but you gave a little more context to the story.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
I mean, I think it's something. I don't think Sam is necessarily a cold-blooded killer.
No.
I think something happened that escalated and got out of control, and something bad happened, and then there was some desire to try and cover this up or change the narrative because it wasn't going to work out no matter what, even if it was and I say accidental in quotes because no one's going to look at it as accidental if your fiance's dead. And there was some sort of, that's murder, whether it's first degree, second degree, or whatever. But
Tony,
happened.
The uncle is probably the fixer in the family. We've been focusing on the Adelson family.
Yes.
The uncle is the one who always swoops in. And I came from a family where there was an attorney. And anytime anybody got into any sort of trouble, guess who they called? They called the attorney. So-and-so got arrested. So-and-so got a speeding ticket. Yeah. Whatever. So you call the fixer. And this is a horrific event. You call the fixer and see what they can do.
He's on the phone with the fixer before he even knows there's anything wrong with her. That's the thing.
Well, that's what he's claiming.
That's the claim. That's what doesn't make sense. Why would you be calling your attorney uncle from the hall and you know nothing's wrong with her? Your concern is to get into that apartment because she's not answering the door and you're calling your attorney uncle? Why?
No, you call the police.
Is he going to come over and break the door open for you because you're too weak? I mean, what is the purpose there?
But
there is no purpose.
If you can't get into the apartment, if you're locked out, Your first thought is, I need to call the police.
Yes, it's
and
not.
If your fiance is in trouble, the fire department can come and take that door down. I know how to break down a door. We were taught to do that as firefighters with all the tools. That's your concern, is I need to find out why my fiance is not answering me.
Yeah.
Not, uncle, you need to come over and take care of shit.
That's what's so weird about the whole damn thing. Again, innocent, still proven guilty, never charged with anything, maintains his innocence. Still, the family, everybody, including the uncle, it's a suicide, and according to them, they don't talk about it. That's,
I bet they don't.
Per the documentary, they don't publicly make statements about it, is what I should say.
Well, I think at some point they need to start making statements.
I think at some point they're going to have to start making some statements, because there's a lot of statements that are starting to be made for them in the ether by everybody out there now talking about this. We're talking about the Ellen Greenberg case and the new documentary that is out on Hulu right now. Highly recommend checking this thing out because it really blows the door open on what so many people have been wondering and thinking about this case for quite some time, and lays it out with, I'd say, like scorched earth evidence that really makes you go, okay, something is really not adding up here. Let's take a look. This is our second clip. And this is taking a look at the early homicide ruling that came about a few days into this. It was initially unaliving, and then a few days in, after people had a chance to look at it after the snowstorm, while she was about to be buried, they realized, wait a second, this seems like more. Let's take a look.
Huge blunt force trauma from a knife to the head. How was this ruled a suicide?
I have investigated stabbing suicides in my career. I've never seen anyone stab themselves in the back. There are specific wounds that typically we would call hesitation wounds. They are usually with suicide, and they're very shallow attempts at injury to yourself. There are some that I would call that on Ellen's body. However, a stabbing of this nature with so many wounds is just very atypical.
When Ellen Greenberg's body was taken to the medical examiner's office, the medical examiner, Marlon Osborne, looked at the body and looked at the evidence. And he, in fact, ruled this death a homicide. So they're going to be able to get a real investigation, and this family is finally going to get a call. Your daughter, Ellen, did not kill herself.
And they did. Unfortunately, they got that call as they were burying Ellen. As is Jewish custom, you bury the body pretty quick, which was like 2 days after. Let's go to our next clip, too, because this ties in. This is about the cleanup and the cover-up with the uncle that we've been talking about. It just kind of gives you a little more context into how this all went down.
The police determine this is a suicide. And because of that decision, you don't have a held crime scene, meaning it's not roped off and protected. This apartment is being professionally cleaned by a company called Crime Scene Cleanup. And the very next morning, all of Ellen's electronic devices were taken by her fiance's uncle, who's not even related to Ellen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right, Tony. Like, we can talk about the uncle. We can talk about all that. If something happened here that hasn't been laid out properly by law enforcement and all that, they got lucky that the first responders did what they did, because without that piece, the other stuff could never have happened.
If Sam has anything to do with this, and if he conjured up at the gym or wherever he went that moment, okay, this is because it's like a panicked response, but he got away with it. If he did this, he was able to if you were in that situation, like because he was very quick to point out, I had to break the door down, and brings this up in the 911 call multiple times. First things he brings up. Then it's also brought up with the first responders, with the police, and there's mental health problems. And, well, then this must be what it is. That also, I think, speaks to the miseducation or lack of education for those first responders, whoever was making that decision to say this is a suicide, of understanding human behavior in general. I mean, and why the hell would you just take the word of this guy? I want to know that answer. I want to know who the hell just said, okay, because he said it, this is what we're going with. We didn't see that in the doc. Whoever did that, whoever signed off on that, I'm sure not too keen to have that decision known, because it might be one that they're kicking themselves over, going, how could I have been so stupid?
Excuse me.
Well, the department and the city and the state should be all over that. What the hell happened here?
Well, the department and the city and the state don't want to have any blood on their hands, for lack of a better term.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Unfortunately, it's starting to look like maybe. That's all I'll say.
Are they covering up for someone, or are they covering for themselves? And whoever did this is just riding the coattails of that, of pure dumb luck, because nobody has ever gotten very deep on this like this documentary did, and enrage the public enough to start getting some pressure behind it. Because in so many cases, as we've seen, things will sit and nothing will happen just because they're ordered by a court to say, you got to go re-examine this. Doesn't mean they're going to do it. They still haven't done it. They have to go to court again in mid-October. The 14th is the next hearing, to go, come on, guys, you've already been ordered by the grown-ups to do this, so you better get on it, and we'll see what happens. But, being ordered to do something and following through apparently are two different things. It's not exactly obligated. You can just keep telling them and spending money and getting court orders that never actually take place. So it's maddening. The question, though, is why? Why will we not look into this? Or why will they not look into it the way that is needed? And at the end of the day, can we get to an answer in this case also? Or is this one of those where, it certainly looks suspicious, and there's so many questions, all the questions we're answering or talking about right now, or trying to theorize answers on, and others have already done this in the past. Maybe investigators have already done this in the past, and the real answer is, a lot of circumstances here, not enough evidence to get a charge. I don't know that there is enough to get a charge, more or less a conviction, because, again, the evidence was all destroyed.
And that's fine. If that's what it is, then communicate that with us.
Yes.
And I think, the question is there a cover up from the government, or is there a cover? I think there's a combination of cover ups going on.
I do too.
Yeah.
I feel like there's two,
one on top of another.
Yep.
And they mutually benefit one another. Let's take a look at the security guard. This is what he had to say in the documentary on the new one on Hulu.
I just figured they were into some kind of argument, and he got locked out. He was pacing back and forth, and I don't know, he looked worried about something.
When he came again, he was much more agitated. He said, I need to get in the fucking unit. So I said, well, is something wrong with her? He said, I don't know. And as he was departing from the front desk, he said, well, I'm just gonna knock the fucking door down.
That's for the police to do.
No, I don't think so. I disagree. If you can't get into your apartment and you don't know what's going on with your fiance, she could be in danger, I'm going to knock that fucking door down too.
I probably would too, Stacey.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no waiting for the police in a situation like that.
I'd call my friend Stacey with the 8 or 9 knives laying around her apartment and see if she can come over and do some damage on it. But listen, if my loved one was in there, that door is coming down.
Yeah, you're making a good point. But the point that where I'm coming from is that an apartment door is very different than other doors. They have the latches, all of like the deadbolt.
There's only one deadbolt on this thing. We know what it is. It looks like a hotel door.
Right, exactly. To me, that seems like it would be difficult to break down, like a metal door.
It doesn't look like any sort of special door, quite honestly. It looks like it's not a metal door necessarily. It looks like your average. I think I've had more apartment doors that are a whole lot weaker than my home doors. This doesn't look like it was that difficult of a door to break down.
Okay.
Quite honestly. So,
and even if it was, I'd still be going ape shit on it.
Yeah.
And they'd come and I maybe didn't get in, but the door would be beat up pretty freaking good just from me losing my mind.
That's the other argument on this. You're going to break the door down, and then all we see is just like a little bit of wood that seems to be kind of out of place on the side of the lock that's affixed to the frame. It doesn't exactly look like you broke the door down, and you would likely have a hell of a lot more damage than what we saw. That's where I go back to, you got to make the scene look like something. Well, I mean, you could certainly do that from the inside, and make it appear as if this thing was locked and you got in. And I'm sorry, there's ways of getting past those fucking bolts. There are. They're not that difficult to bypass. I've been locked out of an apartment before by myself. They even talked about it on the thing where it's like, and if you slam it or something, sometimes it can, wave, and then it'll the pressure of it or the vibration can make the latch swing over. There's ways. It's not rocket science to be able to get in the way that this was portrayed as being such a feat. Let's go to our next clip. This is taking a look at what took place and the oddness, the strange feelings that the property manager had as the uncle came to get some stuff.
I know I was letting someone else in that I didn't know, and I didn't want to be held responsible for anything missing. When I went into the apartment, the thing that I remember the most is the setting. I remember walking in and seeing blueberries on the counter, a couple of knives in the sink. It was so serene, cleaning the fruit in the kitchen, just an everyday event. That's what it looked like. There was laptops. I remember the engagement ring. And then I remember the blood. It didn't stay the entire time with the cleanup crew, but I do remember that they had on hazmat suits and protective gear, and they put everything in the dishwasher and turned it on and wiped it up, and that was it. 2 men arrived. One was Sam's uncle. I wanted to do my best in balancing my sympathies and helping the family as well as my role as property manager. So I did stay there with them as they walked around. I just stayed in the living room. They weren't in there too long, maybe 15 minutes or so, and then I locked up behind them.
Okay, something she said there, the engagement ring.
Yep, that's right. She was not wearing her engagement ring.
Okay, but now she could have taken it off because she was cleaning fruit, but that doesn't sound like somebody who doesn't want to live anymore. I'm going to make a fruit salad and then I'm going to check out.
And get gas right before.
And also, she was not wearing her ring a lot. People were asking her about that. That was brought up in the documentary.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's why I'm wondering if she decided this is not
for me.
You're not the person for me. I don't want to be with you. I've changed my mind. I don't like the trajectory of my life. I'm making some changes, and he gets pissed off.
Which we all know those moments are the most dangerous for anybody. If you're having that conversation, and like if something's going to happen, that's going to be your best odds of something horrible happening.
Yep.
Right at that moment in time.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, and again, they also said not a struggle at the scene. Take a look at crime scene photos. You know where those photos were taken by? They were taken by the building manager. Because she went in and said, this is kind of weird that...
And you know what? Thank God for her. She was really kind of smart in this whole thing when she walked in and videotaped it and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Thank God she did that.
And because the knife block is laid down.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like it looks like if someone's like running to get it. If you're going to do this to yourself, which number one, stabbing yourself is insanely low. The odds are like next to none. And then the amount of times, again, we can get into that 50 Ways to Tuesday. It's impossible what she did pretty much through most accounts. It does not it just doesn't. Nothing adds up. Nothing adds up in this case. And when I add this in, it has nothing to do with the case, but the knives just go in the dishwasher after they were like, after they killed, if somebody was in somebody and they died, and you're like, well, it's still good for apples. It's just like, why are these? I guess, that the sad part is, yes, that is how that works.
I thought you were looking at it more from the foodie that you are, and you would never put a good knife in a dishwasher.
Well, no shit. Those are hand wash.
Right, exactly. That's where I thought you were going to.
Those were Henkel knives.
I was just going to say, I've got those knives. I do not put those bastards in the dishwasher. I mean, we know that they're lying around my apartment, but no, I hand wash my knives.
If somebody ends up dead in my house, it's probably because they put them in the dishwasher.
Well, there you go. And now, save this clip, Todd.
Yep, it's I marked it.
Just saying. That or pans. You don't put pans in a dishwasher either. Let's watch another clip here.
We'll have to talk later on that one.
For what, pans in a dishwasher?
Yeah.
Well, you don't cook, so...
I'm starting to. I have to. I'm a single woman. I can't eat Subway for the rest of my life.
Okay, well then don't put your pans in a dishwasher.
Thank you. I guess
Start
I'll
out
stop.
right. It destroys them. It destroys the seasoning on the pan. It'll make them sticky, and you don't want to do that. So don't ever put pans and pots in a dishwasher.
Okay, we'll talk later.
Let's take another look at another clip here. This is the medical examiner talking about, or this is talking about the medical examiner here in our next clip.
The medical examiner found that she had died of stab wounds to her chest and torso. Because of those findings, investigators with the homicide unit returned to the apartment today to search for any additional evidence that could result in this becoming a case of murder.
Once the medical examiners ruled this a homicide, it's like, whoa, go back and investigate. Too late. We allowed the crime scene to be cleared, which allowed cleaners, professional cleaners, and I'm not talking residential cleaners, I'm talking crime scene cleaners, to come in and clean the crime scene.
We're saying it's a suicide, and then 2 days later we're saying it's a homicide. So they gave the window to be able to clean the scene up. The scene is tainted. As far as my personal investigation, I've never been out after a professional company cleaned the crime scene up.
When a scene has a computer or a cell phone or a laptop, you tend to want to seize those and to keep those in a safe place. There's this whole concept in law enforcement and investigation and in court cases known as chain of custody. Where was this evidence? Who took control of it?
While retrieving items for the funeral, Ellen's devices were taken out of her apartment by two members of Sam Goldberg's family, specifically his uncle Jamie Swartzman, a prominent Philadelphia attorney. After her death was ruled a homicide, he turned the devices over to the police.
So what should be done wasn't done.
So many errors happened in this case that all snowballed. You don't have crime scene unit coming. You don't have investigation.
So all of that, it just adds up to this mad moment where everyone was able to walk away from this and not have any sort of repercussion. I mean, at the end of the day, snow. I guess snow is to blame. The bad weather is what really allowed a lot of this to take place, because the homicide investigator, they were on a very tight list of what they would be able to respond to. And at that moment in time during that nor'easter, this wasn't one of them. It would have had to have been an active homicide investigation for them to be called out, but they weren't. So I do wonder how much that played into it as well. Was this a really just dumb move by somebody of, well, it's snowy, we don't want to overextend ourselves for real emergencies. For whatever reason, this didn't register as someone as a real emergency because the person's already dead. I wonder how much that played into the decision of saying this is a suicide and let's not bother the homicide investigator and call her out in the middle of this blizzard.
There's just so many failures here. I
don't
know what to say. How many how many facets of this case needed to fail to get to where we are?
Mm-hmm. A lot.
Yeah, and it's just this cascade of events, this, for lack of a better term, it snowballed. Like one failure after another, and I don't know if it was intentional or if it was just so many people dropped the damn ball. But
so it makes it like a perfect storm in a lot of ways. I mean,
literally.
It really, really does. We're talking about the Ellen Greenberg case and all of the failures and all of the questions that are now being asked, thank God, publicly, since the new Hulu documentary has come out, Death in Apartment 603, What Happened to Ellen Greenberg. And I want to note again, Sam Goldberg, Ellen Greenberg's fiance at the time of her death, has never been charged with any crime in connection to this case. He has consistently maintained that Ellen's death was a suicide. All individuals mentioned in this segment are presumed innocent unless proven otherwise. We are having a discussion. We are talking about theories. We are talking about opinions based on the information that has come out. We are not saying that Sam had anything to do with Ellen's death. Theoretically, we're talking about all the what-ifs and asking the questions of why. Why was this handled the way it was? Joining us now, psychotherapist and author Shavaun Scott. Shavaun, this is a case that I know we've been talking about for years on and off. I know the documentary, obviously, that's out now. Give me your reactions to what you have absorbed thus far now that this new one is out and we're kind of seeing it from a slightly different perspective.
I have tried to keep a really open mind and look at all sides here, and where I end up, it kept coming into my mind if Stephen King and Agatha Christie decided to collaborate on a story, we'd all go, whoa, that's quite a story there, and we want to know what the solution is. But yeah, everything I've been listening to you guys a bit, everything you say, I agree. It just doesn't make any sense. The most common, I looked into the data, which I already kind of knew, but I wanted to look up and be sure. Common suicide methods among women: number one, overdose. By far, the majority are overdose. After that, it's firearms. Then, much less often for females, is hanging. And then you get into this infinitesimal small number that will jump off a building, and then finally the smallest number are they'll drown themselves, or they may cut, or they'll crash a vehicle. But nowhere can I find in the literature multiple stab wounds, and particularly to strange parts of the body that would be difficult to do. It just doesn't happen. So that's, that leaves us with what else, where else could it go? And of course, you're going to look at the fiance really closely and how to get the door open and how would you have locked it, all of those things. But this is why we're still talking about this case all these years later, because it's so weird.
You would naturally look at the fiance, no matter who it is, no matter what the circumstances are.
Yep.
But they didn't, because they simply took him at his word. That's the most baffling part of the whole damn thing.
There's something bigger at play here. There's something bigger at play, because this would not happen if there wasn't some puppet master behind the scenes.
And his words were a lie. We can call it a lie. It was a lie. The security guard was not there. Correct. So either he's lying, or whoever took that transcription down and said that he was there was inaccurately transcribing what the hell he was being told. There's your two options of what would have occurred.
Another failure.
Another failure.
I have a question. Maybe you guys have an answer. Maybe you don't. I thought I remembered that there was not anything in the police report about the concierge coming up, but it was in the medical examiner's report.
I think there was some place where that was true. I don't know why. And I don't think anyone knows the answer to that question. I do not know why it's there and why it's not in other places. There's so many questions as to what the hell is going on. I want to continue with some clips here that we're watching, because we're starting to get into kind of the psychology of what the hell's going on. One would wonder, after something like this happens, And let's say it was a suicide. Let's say that the story is right. She was a zombie, came back, killed herself. After you come upon this and your fiance is dead, you got her family, you're somewhat close with them. How one would act after that, I guess probably depends on how your relationship is with them. But here's how it went down. This is some interviews that took place in the doc.
Sam would check in with me periodically, and I don't know what possessed me, but we would have a very cordial conversation, and I would always say, Sam, we know this was not a suicide. And then there was an awkward silence.
After Ellen passed away, Sam and I met for coffee a couple times just to get together and talk about things, and I wanted to see where he was and how things were going. And we always text each other on her birthday and the anniversary of her death, those type of things. He didn't seem so concerned with how Ellen died. He never questioned anything if it was a homicide. He was pretty confident, that's all, it was a suicide. He always kept it that Ellen killed herself and it was mental health, and that's how he portrayed it all the time. He did ask me at one point, do you think I killed Ellen? Which I was like, well, I don't think she killed herself. That's all I'll say.
Oh boy.
It's an odd question to ask, but I would imagine you might be feeling the pressure of that considering the circumstances. What's your reaction to that, Shavaun?
I would love to have an interview with him and really try to go in depth into their relationship. Why wasn't she wearing her engagement ring? Because even they said at school that she wasn't wearing the engagement ring. She told her dad she wanted to move home, or at least come home and stay.
Yeah.
So if he was so quick to go to suicide, why? Give me some details. Give me some reasons. And I'm not hearing that from here. Does that mean that there weren't reasons, that there wasn't a lot going on? There were a few hints about her difficulties in her first year teaching, and I can talk more about that. It's a hard job.
Yeah.
And so really there's just missing pieces. Why did he go there? Because you would think if there was any question at all in his mind, he would be the one leading the charge. We are going to find out what happened here. Who did this?
I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second here. If you don't know who did this, and they're telling you, and well, you've told them it was. He didn't flat out say she killed herself. He flat out said she was on medication, she had some depression issues, and that he broke the door down. That's what he said. And then they came to the conclusion, well, it's a suicide. It must be because you didn't do it. Nobody came in and did it, so that's what it has to be. If you're getting that answer, and you know damn well the next person that they're going to start looking at is you, and even if you had nothing to do with this, let's say he has nothing to do with this, but the authorities are basically giving you a card that says, well, we're going to say it's a suicide. We think it's a suicide. I don't know. I mean, are you going to stir the pot more and get people looking at you more if you had nothing to do with it? Because there's a lot of people that go to prison for life or get death for murders they don't commit, because he fits pretty much into the hole any prosecutor would want of possibly being the person who did this. If you're looking for a suspect, if you're looking for alibis that don't add up, about lying at the scene, about weird, suspicious behavior, it looks pretty like a strong case you'd have against Sam Goldberg. But if they're telling you, no, we don't think it's you at all, do you keep stirring the pot? Or do you be like, okay, cool. Like, I'd like to find somebody. I'd like to find out who actually did this to my fiance, but I also don't want to destroy the rest of my life either, because it looks really suspicious, even though I didn't do anything.
Yeah, I guess it's a toss-up. It could go either way. And when I'm trying to analyze these things, I always start with, I try to put myself in that situation and imagine, or I imagine what would my husband do. And I just think I would be driven by the need to know who did it.
Sure.
I mean, I would be hiring the private investigators if the police weren't on it. I would want to know, am I in danger? You know, did somebody get in this apartment that was after me?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many unknowns. I would think that would override that self-preservation tendency. You know, I would be driven to know, and I think my husband would be driven to know who's the killer out here.
You would think so. I mean, I think for most of us, we would do that. But again, everybody's
everybody's different.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I know that's what I would do. But again, that's the whole thing with cases like this. Like, yeah, it doesn't really matter what I would do.
Yeah.
It matters, you know, what they would do and how they were handling this. But you make a good point. If I mean, this certainly, it looks like a murder, and you didn't do it. Why? Why would someone be out to kill your fiance? Or was she the target? Or were you the target?
Right.
I mean, I'd be wondering all of these things because, I don't know, she's a first grade teacher. Is there a reason? I mean, there was no essay in this case. What's the reason for somebody breaking in and killing the first grade teacher? That, I mean, there doesn't seem to be a lot. She didn't seem to have any, you know, there just wasn't there. I mean, I don't know anything about Sam other than, you know, he works in television and worked with, you know, various productions. You know, is some golfer upset that they didn't get the right shot on NBC Sports one day? And they're like, yeah, you missed my birdie. I'm going to kill your fiance. I mean, come on, that's insane too. But I would be asking, why? Not just walking away. And it's but again, if you're being told it's suicide, some people are going to accept those answers too from authorities if that's what they're telling them. That could be the answer as well as to why this hasn't they haven't spoken any further of it, because they just simply accept the answer.
Yeah. Yeah, it is possible. And as you say, it depends on everybody's personality. But I would sure have questions about what was going on in their relationship.
Yeah.
And when he said, well, she had mental health problems, let's define that. What do you mean? Because the only thing we're really hearing, which we heard from her friends and colleagues and her parents, is that she was incredibly stressed with her job and wanted to get out of it. And for a young lady that was clearly a high achiever, I mean, she had a stellar life and she had achieved all sorts of things. And I don't think she would have been used to failing at something, and it could have been that her emotional reactions, Klonopin is used, classic anxiety drug, and used for people having panic attacks. It's typically, when used as directed, a safe medication. They tell people don't use it long term, but that made sense with someone who was very stressed by their job. And she was also on Ambien, which goes with being very stressed. People stop sleeping. That's not unusual. But when we go back to if she wanted to die, the easiest things to do would be take those two drugs and you just go to sleep. And that's what most women would do. So why didn't other people know if she was so desperate that I'm going to go into the stabbing frenzy on myself? You know, it doesn't add up. But yes, was she under stress, the job stress? She had the 3 visits with a psychiatrist. And I do have to say that doesn't count for a lot, because psychiatrists primarily do medication. Very, very few of them spend much time talking about your relationships or your life. And so it is feasible that there was more going on with her mental health wise, that the psychiatrist just didn't know her well enough and he wasn't aware of it. But if Sam was leaping to this, she had mental health problems, what does that mean? Because that would imply that there was more than job stress happening, but I didn't hear from anyone else that they were seeing that.
I guess, why would anyone jump to this was suicide?
Yeah.
I mean, why is Sam jump? I mean, why is anyone thinking this is suicide? I mean, it just, the odds are so incredibly low and bizarre. And I mean, I don't even know that it would even register as, like, in that moment, suicide. It clearly there's a knife sticking out of her chest, and the first thing he says is, "Oh, she fell on a knife."
Right.
Again, having that, I want to go back. Let's watch this clip because I want to go back to the 911 call in a moment because I want to get your reaction to that. But let's watch this last clip from the documentary. This is talking about the crime scene or the scene, the homicide scene, the unaliving scene, whatever you want to call it. Let's take a look.
It's detrimental to a homicide scene if it was cleaned up before we were able to collect any type of evidence. As a police officer, I'm suspicious. Why is this cleaned up so fast?
I had no experience in this. I just didn't know what was going to happen or what was not going to happen. I grew up trusting the police, believing in the police. That's why they're the police, right? So what are we supposed to do? It's a murder investigation. We believed it was murder.
It's in the hands of the police, and you figure they're gonna be professionals and they're gonna do their job.
We had no reason to suspect anything was out of the ordinary.
At that point, the police department was giving us little information. The medical examiner's office wasn't going to give us an interview either. So at this point, really reporters are stymied in their quest for answers. And then on March 10th, 2011, the medical examiner's office publicly declares Ellen's death a suicide.
After suicide, we heard nothing. It was done. They were like, we're done, case closed.
I was so devastated and so distraught.
It was like the night of her murder.
It's really hard playing devil's advocate, but I felt like I needed to at some point on this episode, just to try and examine it, and it's insane. Because it's insane to try and think of these other options that are just not remotely logical at all.
Yeah. And I think it's good to play devil's advocate. I mean, I think we always should in these cases and try to look at, weird things happen and people can react in weird ways and cops do make mistakes. And,
sure.
But it's just one thing layered on top of another. And yes, it all adds up to something is really off.
Something, I mean, and when you're looking at all the puzzle pieces put together, if you just look at one over here, one over there, yeah, you can kind of make a call this way or that way, but that's not being accurate. That's not being decisive or critically thinking about this case. One of the strongest pieces here, and we're going to go back to it because I really want to get your reaction, and I think Todd, have the pause button ready because I want to kind of break this down kind of piece by piece, is that 911 call. We had a chance to listen to it in an earlier segment, but I want to go through it with you because it is, to me, one of the most damning, disturbing, weird chunks of psychological theater that I've ever heard. Mm-hmm. Let's just start it from the beginning. Again, this is Sam calling 911. Claiming that he had just broken into the apartment and 10 feet away, Ellen's laying there on the ground, knife sticking out of her chest, but that seems to elude him until further into the call. So let's start it.
Help! I need a murder now. I just walked into my apartment. My fiance's on the floor with blood everywhere.
What is the address?
4601 Flat Rock Road. Please come. Help.
4601
Flat Rock Road.
Is this a house or apartment?
Oh no. Oh no. It's an apartment.
What apartment number?
Please hurry, please.
Where is she bleeding from?
I don't know. I can't tell.
So you have to calm yourself down in order to get you some help.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm looking at her right now. I can't see anything. There's nothing broken. She's bleeding. Ellie!
You don't know where she's bleeding from? Can't tell where the blood's coming from?
I think her head. I think she hit her head, But it's everywhere.
Okay,
it's everywhere.
She might have fallen. Do you know what happened?
She may have slipped. There's blood on the table. Her face is a little purple.
Okay, hold on for rescue for her. Stay on the phone.
Philadelphia Fire Department 842. What's the address? No.
4601 Flat Rock Road. Please hurry.
4601 Flat Rock?
Yes.
What's wrong?
I went downstairs to go work out. I came back up. The door was latched. My fiance's inside. She wasn't answering. So after about a half hour, I decided to break it down. I see her now just on the floor with blood. Like she's not.
Yeah. What happened? Wouldn't the answer be my fiance is on the floor with a knife sticking out of her chest? Not.
Correct.
I went to go work out and the door was locked.
Yeah.
It feels rehearsed.
What's your feelings on this call so far? I don't know. It feels very, obviously it's a dramatic moment, but you can be over dramatic in dramatic moments.
Well, yeah. And it is really hard to know in any specific 911 call, what is the typical way somebody is going to react. And so it's interesting. That alone doesn't shout out to me. He's upset, obviously, but can people put that on and amp that up and rehearse it? Sure. So again, it's one way or the other. It's hard to know.
Let's keep listening.
She's not responding.
Okay, is she breathing? Look at her chest. I need you to calm down, and I need you to look at her chest. It's really.
I really don't think she is.
Listen to me. Someone's on the way. Look at her chest. Is she flat on her back?
She's on her back. So I bring her.
Look at her chest and tell me if it's going up and down, up and down.
People in our chat, they're so observant. She was not on her back. She was propped up against the cupboards.
Yeah.
So what he was seeing in front of him while on with 911, he was lying right there because she was sitting up. And I understand people in traumatic situations may not get their facts entirely straight. I get that. Might contradict what I said earlier, but what he was seeing and what he was saying are two different things. She was not on her back.
Or did he prop her up? I mean, what? Then he didn't account for it, or what? Because that part again also not accounted for, and that could be the simple explanation of I propped her up. Why would I don't know why you would. I don't know that. I don't know why you would, but I don't know. People do weird things, but again, not accounted for either. Just like the security guard being at the door as he breaks it down. In one account, he's there. In others, there's no word of it whatsoever.
Yeah.
So
it is possible, though, as you mentioned in the midst of that, Stacey, it is possible when people are really agitated, they get facts wrong and they misspeak and they're not thinking clearly. They may not even be perceiving clearly. And it sure seems like he would have noticed that knife coming out sooner, but he may have been fixated on all the blood all over and just not been paying attention. I've made a few 911 calls in my day, and I'd be interested to hear them back now. And did I get it right, or did I miss something, or did I misspeak? It's hard to know.
Yeah, I mean that's we're dealing with human beings here, and it's easy to Monday morning quarterback and go, well, he misspoke or said this, so, and you can have grace to some of that, but again, what makes the case so troubling is that no questions were ever asked about any of these inconsistencies. There's more to the call. Let's keep listening.
I don't see her moving.
Okay, do you know how to do CPR?
I don't.
Okay, I can tell you what to do, okay, until they get there. I want you to keep her foot on her...
God.
Hello?
Yeah, hi, okay.
Are you willing to do CPR with me over the phone until they get there?
I have to, right?
Okay, so get her flat on her back, bare her chest, okay? You want to rip her shirt off. Okay? You need to kneel down by her side.
Oh, my God. Ellie, please.
Listen, you can't freak out, sir, because you
Okay, I'm trying not to. Her shirt won't come off. It's a zipper. Oh, my God. She stabbed herself.
Where?
She fell with a knife. Oh, no, her knife's sticking out.
Her what?
There's a knife sticking out of her heart.
Oh, she stabbed herself?
I guess so. I don't know where she fell on it. I don't know.
Okay, well, don't touch
All right, let's pause.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I got to walk back what I said earlier, where he said that he didn't say anything about her stabbing. He flat out said she stabbed herself. So he's flat out saying she killed herself. He does say it flat out. He has the narrative. It's not just she fell on the knife. He does flat out say she stabbed herself. So he's saying he killed herself.
He said that she fell on the knife and then stabbed herself. Which is it?
Or both, or yeah, I mean, because I think maybe he
Multiple times.
realizes falling on the knife seems kind of ridiculous. And she stabbed herself. So he does set that up. He does set it up as a suicide. It wasn't said to him that, it must be a suicide. He's playing the narrative in the 911 call. So I apologize earlier. I said he didn't say it was a suicide because he didn't say it directly. He indirectly says it, that she had stabbed herself. It's not like he's mining for gold here, or he's sifting through big piles of rocks and dirt, and oh my God, there's a knife here. He's literally right there. Okay, oh Ellie, okay, oh my gosh, and there's like a good 10 seconds where he appears to be getting ready to do CPR, or he's thinking about it. At least that's what you would assume is going on, because that's where the call is heading. And then suddenly he realizes, she has a zipper shirt on, and that the knife is protruding like directly out of her chest, right next to the zipper. She's a tiny woman, and he's right there. There should be no call for like shock that there's a knife here, or that she has a zipper shirt on. Those are observations one could make just glancing into the room and seeing her lying there. She wasn't covered in blankets. She wasn't like in some weird in the dark. It's all right there. And why the hell is it taking this long for him to suddenly realize, and then I have to, right? Seems like he already knew he wasn't going to be able to do CPR because there's a knife protruding from her chest. Why wasn't that the first thing being said? Why is this sudden observation and this light bulb moment so far into this call? That's what I ask. I don't know.
Yeah.
Shavaun, what's the answer, damn it?
I think we're all so stunned by this. I don't know what else there is to say. Why haven't charges or at least an investigation been started? This is the most absurd freaking story that we have ever covered. Ever.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
It just, there's just so much that doesn't add up. Let's finish the call out.
So I just let her here now? I mean, what do I do?
No, I mean, you can't. If the knife is at her chest, it's going to be kind of hard for you to do CPR at this time.
Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Police, which operator?
277.
Is someone coming here?
Yes, they are. You said 4601 Flat Rock, right?
Yes.
Okay, someone's on the way. And the knife is still inside?
Wait, so what?
The knife is still inside of her?
Yes, I didn't take it out.
Was it her chest or what area?
It's in her chest. It looks like it's right in her heart.
Okay, someone's on the way out there. Okay, just get.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Okay,
how old is she?
She's 27.
27, and there's no sign of life at all.
No, please don't be. What?
Bend her under her arm and tell me if she responds to pain.
She's Ellie. She's not. Her arm and her hands are still warm. I don't know what that means, but there's blood everywhere. I mean,
I know, but you can't. And the knife is still inside of her. How far? Can you see how far it went in?
It looks pretty deep.
Okay.
It looks it's a long knife.
Don't touch anything.
Yeah, don't touch anything. Okay.
I'm not touching anything. I can't believe this though.
So wait, it was just you there with her?
We're the only ones here.
And she ran in the door. You said latched it shut.
No. I went downstairs to work out, and when I came back up, the door was latched. Like it was, it wasn't like it was, it was like locked from the inside, and I'm yelling, so I'm
was
yelling.
Your house broken into?
No.
So there's no sign of a break-in?
No sign of a break-in at all. I mean, there will be when you get here because I had to break the latch, but to get in.
He's so calm right now.
4601 Flat Rock, and this is a house, right?
It's an apartment. Flat Rock apartment.
Okay, that'll help.
Oh my God. All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
He's so calm.
Goodbye. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Have a great day. Is this take this scene out of the equation for a moment? Is this someone trying to control a narrative?
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
I mean, it feels a lot like that, and it could be for no nefarious reasons either. We just don't know the answer to that question. I mean, it could be, I want you to have the facts. I want you to know what's going on. It's also, I don't think it's also crazy if you did walk in on something like this and you had nothing to do with it, to also want your alibi to be known pretty quick. If it is a legit alibi and you're going to, if you're thinking that far in advance, I think, some people may, some people might not, you would want to have your words out there of saying where you were, what you were doing, to avoid any sort of questioning, or not because you don't want it, but to establish fact early on. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
It's not unreasonable to think that his mind went there. And again, everybody is going to handle that in a different way, along with having episodic moments where he sounds calmer and then he gets agitated again. It can be a real fluctuation in how people are talking and presenting themselves, and they may be, basically incoherent and then get coherent again and go back and forth. It's really hard to make a call on it.
I thought you were going to say something, Stacey. You're just taking a breath.
I'm exasperated. I don't know what else. I don't mean, I'm not sounding frustrated at what we're doing, but I'm just, how did we get here?
Yeah.
I hope the public pressure, after seeing this documentary, I hope there's enough pressure that something has to be done. I don't know what they can do at this point. The evidence isn't there anymore. It's been literally scrubbed. What can they do at this point? So what can be done at this point? I guess change it to murder, to let the parents finally get some closure. But then if it does get changed to murder, her cause of death, that means that there's a murderer out there. That hasn't been charged.
And you might get to undetermined. And then that may open an investigation, or it may not. Undetermined doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get that. Even if it is homicide, doesn't necessarily. It means then that the authorities, the investigators, would have to decide, okay, let's put the resources into looking into this. Just because it's changed again, this is going to continue to be a battle, I feel, forever, because it always has been a battle, and nobody wants to go further. And I'm wondering, is it going nowhere? Has it gone nowhere? Because at the end of the day, a lot of people have already run through all this stuff and have said, yeah, it looks weird as shit, but without the evidence, there's not enough for charges.
But then move it to undetermined. At least do that for the family. You know what I'm saying? One piece that I forgot to mention earlier when we were talking about Stacey's thoughts and my thoughts on how that relationship was going, I had forgotten that in the documentary, her friend was also getting married. And she was talking about how she was sharing all of her planning with Ellen, and so excited. And Ellen wanted nothing to do with sharing her plans for her wedding. She wouldn't talk about it, didn't want to, which to me just adds another layer of, I'm not happy in this situation. This is not really what I want.
I want out.
I mean, that would certainly be a sign that you're not in a great place. If you're not, you wouldn't want to do that. You wouldn't want to talk about that. Some friends, they kept in contact with Sam. Some of even the family did for a bit. Had, civil, cordial conversations, even joked back and forth a little bit, how they miss her and all that. And then you get that one question, do you think I killed her? And then you get kind of, the silence that goes on. And the answer is, well, we don't think that, it was a suicide. So, again, it's hard to examine the behavior or figure out what the person is thinking behind that question. But is that a question of someone who would have done this? I mean, or is it more like, I'm really trying to gauge the room on this. Because, look, beyond what happened here and what we know about Sammy, it doesn't seem like some sort of vengeful, murderous type. So that plays into his favor.
Right. And this, with the number of stab wounds, the deep wound to the chest with the knife embedded like that, this is somebody, you would think, somebody that could do this to someone that they love or have been so intimately connected to. This would be someone you would expect to see more aberrant behavior from than what we know about him.
Yeah, it doesn't, none of it plays to the characters of, that we want to assign to this, to try and make this make sense. In your experience, let me ask you this, how often do you think that there are suicide rulings that are put out there when they shouldn't be, because of a lack of understanding of mental health? When someone just simply says, well, they had mental health problems. How quick is that where you get the medical examiner or you get the investigators to sign off on suicide just because those words are spoken without a whole lot of investigation into what that actually means?
Boy, that is a good question, but that's not one that I don't normally interface with medical examiners and the whole legal end of it. So I don't have an answer to that. I'll just share something personal because it's in my book, which is out in the public. I had a husband suicide by hanging. And I knew that I would be looked at, and I was. And so when I made the 911 call and the house was swarming with police and a detective and the whole team, and they went over every room in the house, and I knew I was sequestered in my bedroom for about 4 or 5 hours with a circle of cops surrounding me, watching everything I was doing, listening to every phone call I made. And I accepted that because I knew, well, they're going to want to make sure that I knew it was a suicide, but they wanted to make, did I do something? Did I, obviously I couldn't lift the guy's body up and do this. But it's just something that in a normal circumstance, you roll with. They are going to look at everything, and they are going to look at the spouse or partner. And so how many times do they not look closely? I don't know. But I think most of the time they do look pretty closely and go into mental health history. And I have worked in community mental health, and when there was a murder, or sometimes there were murders by some of our clients, and certainly there were suicides, and it did get looked at very closely. So,
and with something like this, you want to get to the answer. You want to figure out what the heck's going on. When you were in that situation, Shavaun, was it going through your mind of, okay, they're watching me now I'm just curious, like, what sort of state were you in that moment? Because you just walked into that horrific scene, and now the worst possible thing is going to run through your mind of, well, I have to, they're going to look at me naturally, but I know it wasn't me, obviously. But did you feel like you had to convince them it wasn't you? Or did you just feel like just being me is going to be enough, and then they can glean what they're going to glean off of it, which is the truth?
It's a really good question, because it never popped into my mind that they would find anything to actually look at me. I knew that this is just standard procedure, that they are going to watch the partner. They are going to question the partner very closely. They are going to look around the house. And I was rolling with that. I was crying and obviously hysterical, and I had to make phone calls to friends and my kids and break the news. And so very distraught. And that went on for, several weeks. But as far as worrying about them looking at me, I never worried. It's like I just rolled with it. I said, of course they're going to, but they're not going to find anything. Obviously he wasn't murdered, and obviously I didn't have anything to do with it. So
somebody is bringing up the term covert narcissist in the chat, and in no way can we diagnose Sam, or are we diagnosing? I want to speak more just in general terms about that sort of behavior, where some would be, on the surface everything looks lovely, everything looks great, but on the back end things are not. There seems to be, there's controlling behavior that goes on. Let's speak to that a little bit in situations like this. I'm not necessarily speaking of this one specifically, but how that would be demonstrated in a situation where there's something that happens between the couple, but on the surface everything looks great. I mean, including to one of the partners, maybe.
That's an interesting question. And if we're talking about narcissistic personality types, they're not known for horrendous acts of violence and murder. That's more getting into psychopathy or person with sadistic tendencies. And usually you would see more of a history of violence in some way. Is it possible, again, that there could be a hidden covert personality disorder of some kind? Sure, that's possible. But you would generally hear, and again, how closely was this looked at? You would hear from other people that the guy had some anger problems that came up when he was challenged or rejected, fired from jobs, that he would explode. And so it isn't clear in this situation that this guy had a personality disorder that would fit for committing this kind of, because this really seems like a rage killing, to stab someone in the heart like that. I mean, this is beyond a typical domestic abuse case where somebody may push or shove or even punch. That kind of thing would be more common. And then that gets into the fact that she had bruising. Yeah. And that's a hard one because, if you work around little kids all the time as an elementary school teacher and you're playing sports or anything like that, you can be bruised. And, so it's, and one would like to think that she had, if there was really extreme domestic violence going on that would lead up to something like this, she had friends. One would think that this would leak out somehow, that she would have disclosed something to people.
And she apparently talked quite a bit about being unhappy at work, wanting to quit. This was not kind of, like this teaching thing's not what she, thought it was going to be cracked up to be, basically. Yeah. And yeah, I never thought of that with the bruising. That's very true. My girlfriend is a teacher, and I get, texts all the time. It's like, well, this kid hit me today. Oh, and, I mean, the stuff that they put up with is really, and it's elementary. Yes. It's kind of crazy. I've seen some bruises, from that. I mean, and it can look like, somebody's hitting her. Yeah. Because someone did, a child. So I'd be curious as to the location of the bruising. Right. And all of that, that would certainly tell a story. But again, it's one of those things where on the surface, it doesn't always necessarily mean what we think it does. And that's why it's important to look at all the angles of that. Her friends were talking about how she had been withdrawn, very, not seeming to be herself. We're talking about the wedding planning and that she didn't really seem very anxious to do that or really want to do much of that or share much of it with anybody, because apparently probably just a lot of it wasn't actually taking place. At that moment in time. Certainly not, you're not in a great place if this is where things are at that moment in time. But again, I'm trying to go back to any sort of evidence, any sort of piece of the puzzle that helps us understand where Ellen was at or where she was going at that moment in time. Not being able to open up to her friends about what was going on, because apparently, according to them, we've heard nothing about the bruising other than from the examination of her body. People do, especially if this was kind of a sudden shift, and it sounds like it was in the last month or so of her life. How often are people opening up right away if abuse like that comes up in a relationship? A little bit later in, not necessarily right away, but it starts happening. Maybe you're kind of taken aback. Maybe it's something you've never really experienced. Are people very quick to start talking about this with others, or sometimes is it, I'm going to keep this under wraps. Hopefully it gets better.
Yeah.
They're going to hide it.
Yeah. Often they hide it and they blame themselves for it.
Yeah.
And it could have been that just speculating, when she began having a lot of stress, I'm going to say stress symptoms rather than mental illness or something like that, because I don't think there's no evidence that she had any kind of major mental illness. It sounds like a lady who was really stressed by her job. Did the stress cause some deterioration in the relationship because he couldn't handle her when she was stressed?
Mm-hmm.
And that was another, just looking at all possibilities here.
Yeah.
That her stress could have been a factor in a shift in the relationship. Not that she caused it, but that he really couldn't handle the change.
Yeah. How often is it that people, though, will, when asked, what's wrong? What's going on? And if the problem is really something over here, that the answer is, it's work.
Yeah.
Stress.
Especially with a relationship issue, Tony. I think that's a really big thing. She was a very happy, joyful spirit. Everybody described her as just, just a joy. You'd feel this enchantment when she walked into the room. And now she kind of had this dark aura about her. Something shifted, something changed. What was it? Was it just the job?
Or, a combination of two things, where maybe it's initiated in the job, and then it doesn't, the stress of the job then, however that is, doesn't mesh with the relationship, which causes more problems over there, and then it snowballs into kind of a combination of both. But you're not necessarily going to bare your soul to people right away when they're asking what's wrong, and go, well, see these bruises over here? Yeah, they're not from the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But that people do tend to cover up reality pretty quick, especially when unexpected things come on, do they not?
And if you're used to presenting as having a high level of functioning and kind of an ideal life, people tend to want to keep up that image, and they have a hard time disclosing that things are not as perfect as I had been hoping and dreaming that they would be.
Well, she did have this fairy tale expectation of her life. She wanted to be married. She wanted to have the big wedding. She wanted just this fairy tale life. And it wasn't adding up. The job sucked. Who knows what was going on in their relationship? She was living her life as though it were Instagram, when really it was just like, I don't know, it wasn't adding up. It wasn't what she wanted. And I think there is probably a little bit of shame, like, I made this big stink that I was going to have this amazing future, and it's just not turning out this way.
Yeah, exactly.
It feels like we do that a lot. Like, a lot of young people have those expectations at that moment in time. And I don't know if it's good, bad, whatever it may be, but it's then we all get older and we all go through life and we look at the 20-somethings and go, you just wait.
No shit.
You just wait. Life will come for you. But when it comes back to the to all of that, to the work thing, to life, her parents. If your problem is work, why would you want to be moving back home?
Right. That was in my mind when I was thinking about the increasing tension at work caused tension in the relationship. Yeah. And I just want to go back where I feel comforted and safe, and mom and dad are my resource. Yeah.
Our chat people are being profound again. I love it. They're so insightful. Is it possible that Sam was having an affair and she found out and confronted him? I mean, anything's possible.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible. But, could something have shifted in the relationship? Because he spent a lot of time away. I got to say, if you've got a traveling partner,
they must be cheating. No, it's not.
No,
like
I'm not saying that, but boy.
Stacey is letting her life bleed into the show a little bit.
Sorry, but I digress. Yeah. But seriously, if you've got a traveling partner, there needs to be a level of trust there. And I feel like in her text messages, I was identifying with her a little bit. Like, I'm seeing the anxiety. I'm recognizing it from experience, people.
But the anxiety doesn't always mean it's happening, though, either.
Correct. That is correct. But I just wonder if there was this trigger moment that it
Which
wasn't.
could be frustrating as shit for him, too. Not to say, if you're being accused of cheating and you're not.
True.
That can create a ton of friction as well. I've been there. I've been there. Where
this is good. We've got both sides right here. It can go both ways.
Where just because someone thinks it's happening doesn't mean it's happening.
You're right.
And people can come up with all sorts of horrible things they tell themselves and end up believing them. And that could just snowball into a shit show. And then, yes, you can get very ingrained going because, yes, it does happen. It did happen to you. But it doesn't happen in every situation where someone is feeling that way. Feeling doesn't equal reality. So if we're trying to think of, could there have been tensions in the relationship because of this, because one's thinking this way and one's not really doing that? Yes, there could be a lot. And that's kind of where I get back to, as I said at the very beginning of the show, something blew up here that was unexpected. Mm-hmm. How it happened, why it happened, we don't know the answer to that. But something obviously did. And whether that was Ellen by herself performing the zombie suicide, or the zombie unaliving, I don't know, but it would be quite an insanely rare case if she actually did unalive herself.
Yep.
At the end of the day, I think that's.
It's just not physically possible. Unless she was a contortionist, which they never came out and said that she did. Yeah,
that's in the follow-up.
Well, I mean, even a contortionist, I'm not sure that they could get those stab wounds exactly that way.
Let's talk. I want to talk about the stab wounds because, we say 20 stab wounds and it sounds horrible and gruesome, and it is. Some of those are also not very deep.
Superficial.
They're superficial stab wounds where, they kind of tried and then didn't go very far. And again, I know the stats on death by stabbing yourself are insanely low. But can you speak to that at all, Shavaun, where, yes, 20 stab wounds, but only a handful were actually deep? Death by, again, it's not very common. So what do we have to go on to say that, well, maybe this is a sign that this was self-induced because of those ones that didn't go very far? Is that very indicative of someone stabbing someone else, that you're going to have a bunch of superficial wounds of a knife?
No, it's weird. It's just another weird case. And I was thinking, if you were doing that to yourself repeatedly, that hurts.
Yes, it does.
That hurts. And that's generally why women choose to overdose, right? We are not wired to do things repeatedly that really, really hurt. And, I would think if somebody did it once, it would be, ow, I'm not going to do it this way. Mm-hmm. I've got other choices here, other options here.
Yeah, because there's hesitation.
Don't forget, I'm going to do this, versus this.
Right.
So, and for those of you just listening, I was motioning to the stab wounds to the back of her head and neck. You're not going to do that.
Yeah.
You're just, I don't care how far you are on being mentally ill, you're not going to do it that way.
Right.
You're just not.
And you're flailing around. I mean, and the head cut too, I don't get either. That's a weird one.
And the other interesting piece, as we try to look at all sides, is the internet searches about, wasn't one painless ways to do it?
Well, yeah, but there's an issue with that. The computer, the data file that they're looking at on there changed. Like the investigator, none of that. He provided the file, and then the person who gets the file, the image of the computer, suddenly these things are there and they're not on the original copy that was sent over. So
another weird piece.
Exactly.
Another weird piece. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, at the end of the day, if we just had some answers, if we just had some questioning, and maybe this could all be explained, and all these years later now, Sam's name wouldn't be being brought up the way it is, like this documentary has brought it up. But I feel like some of these questions have to be answered.
do.
And explained away. Otherwise, nothing makes sense in this case. And if at the end of the day they can be answered and it shows that, Sam has nothing to do with this, great. I hope he does have nothing to do with this. I hope this is the craziest case and something really remotely, nearly impossible took place here. Or she was murdered by somebody, but who was it? I mean,
this is where I channel Stephen King, and it was this malevolent force that came in through the heating vent or something and materialized. And
Selena Gomez and Steve Martin and Martin Short need to get on this one.
Yeah. Of course, again, we're not saying that Sam did this. We're just speculating based on the information that's now come out since that documentary, Murder in Apartment 603 or 601 or Death in Apartment 603 rather. Sam Goldberg, Ellen Greenberg's fiance, at the time of her death, has never been charged with any crime in connection to the case. He has consistently maintained that Ellen's death was a suicide, and all individuals mentioned here are presumed innocent unless proven otherwise. But the questions are going to be asked, and answers need to be found. We'll keep asking them. Be sure to press subscribe wherever you're watching this or listening to this so you don't miss any of those questions that we're going to keep asking in this case. And let us know your thoughts in the comment section as well. And check out Shavaun's book, Nightbird. You can hear her story in great detail. It's a very good read. Please do check it out wherever books are sold. Until next time, for Shavaun, for Stacy, for Todd, I'm Tony Brueski. Thanks for watching. We'll talk again real soon.
Want more on this case and others? Then press subscribe now and don't miss a moment of true crime coverage from Tony Brueski and the Hidden Killers podcast.